One of the issues that a lot of my restaurant clients have is where they have multiple restaurant locations, and each restaurant location for tax purposes is under a different LLC. However, the ownership, meaning management and ownership at each LLC, is the same or similar. And so they share employees between their LLCs. And one of the issues that has come up repeatedly is what happens when we have an employee working at LLC A 30 hours a week and then LLC B 30 hours a week. Do we combine them for overtime purposes? Generally, this is a fact-specific inquiry, but I will tell you that in almost all the situations that I've looked at, where ownership is the same or very similar, where management is the same or very similar, the Department of Labor has been pretty consistent in their analysis of indicating that the employee has worked overtime even if working at 2 different locations. So you need to be very careful and check with your legal counsel in those situations. But simply because they're working at 2 different locations does not mean that overtime has not kicked in. So just be careful of that. You need to keep very good records of employee time worked and tips received. Define any service charges for guests and employees so there is transparency. And what I mean by that is oftentimes we have situations where rather than a tip or in addition to a tip on a bill, we will have a service charge. What is that service charge? Do customers believe that that service charge is a tip or not? It's important that we define that because there are a lot of lawsuits out there that talk about if employees believe that that service charge, if customers believe that that service charge is a tip, then it really should be defined that way, and employees can claim that as a tip. Even if your tipped employees are making over minimum wage, you must still pay them tips. And frankly, if your tipped employees don't make minimum wage, then you must make up the difference. And what that requires is really good record keeping, right? So from week to week, you need to make sure that you are keeping records well so that you can get to the pay that is appropriate for each employee. And then certainly when an employee is working overtime, you still must make up that overtime pay difference at the overtime pay rate if necessary.